Three big stories new at 10. First, gunfire in a Bellevue neighborhood, why an armed man sent young children into hiding, and how police stopped it.
Plus, unbuckled babies sent flying in an Omaha crash. What else police found in the car?
And blocked, why two states working together might not be enough to help medical marijuana move into Iowa.
KMTV Action 3 News Weekend starts now with your Weather Alert First Forecast.
And a good evening to you. John Walsh from the Controlled Comfort Weather Center. As advertised, we had a cold day today. We never got out of the teens. In fact, the high in Omaha was 18. The temperatures range from 23 to 14 across the entire area. Now, we will see a little bit of relief from the cold to start the week. This weather pattern is going to be continuing, though, for a while. The next batch of cold air comes middle part of the week, along with some snow chances on Wednesday. Threat tracker will be in the yellow. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
Hit the rear quarter panel of my truck and slipped and rolled, and everybody pulled over.
Strangers rush in to help after a car full of kids barrels into them. Now, the woman behind the wheel is in some serious trouble tonight. Police say that driver was under the influence and the kids in the car were not buckled in. Good evening, I'm Kevin Boughton.
I'm Megan Matthews. Kelly Bartnick has reaction from the driver hit in the crash, only on 3 tonight.
Megan, drivers say Erica Beebe was going too fast last night and driving erratically. They were the first to rescue the children in the car after the crash.
A Saturday night drive turned dangerous at 144th and Madison when police say this SUV sped down the street.
And all of a sudden this Explorer going at least 65, 70 miles an hour tried to squeeze in between the Escalade and my truck. Sideswiped the Escalade, hit the rear quarter panel of my truck.
Thiong says he didn't just feel the impact of the crash. He jumped in after it to rescue the children inside the banged-up vehicle.
Other people pulling the kids out of the Explorer, probably maybe 1-year-old, 2-year-old.
Drivers say there were 4 children in the car. There were no car seats. Ong says one witness pulled a child younger than a year-old out from the floor of the car.
An ambulance came, took him, and the lady, I think she might have broke her ankle or her leg because she was screaming.
Police cited 24-year-old Erica Beebe with 4 counts of driving a vehicle without seatbelts and child neglect. Officers also found drug paraphernalia inside the crashed Explorer. They cited Beebe with DUI and reckless driving. From a speedy crash, dangerous to others like Ong and the children in the car.
Pretty upset. She shouldn't be driving that fast.
Police say no one was seriously hurt in the crash. Beebe is not on the roster of the Douglas County Jail tonight. Reporting in the News Center, Kelly Bartnick, KMTV Action 3 News.
This comes as state lawmakers get set to debate a bill that would change safety regulations for kids on school buses. A bill would require lap and shoulder seatbelts on new school buses purchased in the state. The Legislative Budget Office says if the bill passes, the state will have to adjust the way it funds school districts because new buses with seatbelts can cost $8,000 to $15,000 more than those without.
A man is in jail tonight after police shot him at his home during a domestic abuse call. This all while his family hid inside. 33-year-old Kyle Dodds faces several charges, including felony child abuse. Bellevue police were called to the home on Bartman Drive near 42nd and Giles just before midnight. On their way, officers learned Dodds had armed himself with a handgun and could be intoxicated. When police got to the house, they shouted at Dodds to put down the gun. Dodds then raised his weapon towards the officers, and that's when police fired shots.
For as many gunshots as I've heard, and the guy, he could be dead. I think they spared his life for being confronted with a gun, and I praise him for showing restraint and sparing his life.
A woman and 2 children hid during that incident. Dodds has been booked in the Sarpy County Jail for attempted first-degree assault, terroristic threats, and child abuse.
An Omaha man is recovering after he was hurt during an attempted mugging last night. The victim, 25-year-old Andre Holliday, told police he was leaving a house near 52nd and Sorensen when a man in a car pointed a gun at him and demanded his things. Holliday says he tried to grab the gun, and that's when it went off. A bullet grazed him. He was able to walk into the emergency room at CHI Creighton. Also tonight, we're learning a man is in critical condition after an overnight shooting. Police say 18-year-old Denzel Bond went to Creighton University Medical Center about 8 o'clock last night. His mom tells police the shooting happened when she was at home with her son and his friend near 34th and Newport. Bond's mother said she thinks the shooting might be an accident.
Iowa's governor has suggested interest in buying cannabis oil from neighboring Illinois, but major legislative roadblocks stand in the way. Governor Terry Branstad said he is open to working with officials in Illinois, which has a pilot program to produce and distribute medical marijuana. Iowa allows residents with some forms of epilepsy to use oil for treatment. Illinois would need to change a law to allow Iowans to purchase oil there. Federal law, though, would prohibit them from bringing it back to Iowa.
Look at someone's phone and you'll see an array of bright-colored apps. But what if those applications are really masking other things? Your child could be hiding photos, texts, and apps in plain sight.
Each one of them has a different function, but the end result is that they're hiding content that they don't want their peers to see or their guardians to see.
So, how do you know what's really on your teen's phone? Tomorrow night on KMTV Action 3 News, live at 10, Jennifer Griswold's special report, Finding the Secret Apps.
Now that CHI Creighton has regained its level 1 trauma status, Omaha fire officials must work out where and when paramedics will bring patients. Late Friday, the hospital announced it is once again certified as a level 1 trauma center. It lost the designation after a state inspection last month. That meant Omaha paramedics could only take trauma patients to Nebraska Medicine. Fire officials plan to meet tomorrow to work out a new plan to transport patients.
Tomorrow is the deadline for plaintiffs and the state to file last-minute briefs in the ongoing court case over same-sex marriage in Nebraska. 7 same-sex couples are suing the state over its constitutional amendment limiting marriage to 1 man and 1 woman. During a hearing on Thursday, federal judge Joseph Battalion said he'll work quickly to reach a decision on whether or not to grant an injunction that would allow gay marriage in the state. If he does grant the injunction, the Attorney General says he's prepared to appeal the ruling. Politicians in Washington tonight are warning people about a possible shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. The department's funding will run out in 5 days. A bill in the Senate to fund the department has stalled because it doesn't include money for immigration. Some Republicans are trying to block parts of President Obama's executive action on immigration. This morning on Face the Nation, Secretary Jay Johnson said the department will lose ground keeping track of terrorism threats.
If we shut down, my headquarters staff is dialed back to a skeleton. And so that hampers our ability to do that, plus all the other operations of my department.
Now, both Republicans and Democrats are saying immigration and the department's budget shouldn't be linked.
Cleanup in Colorado, this after more snow dumped down on Fort Collins. The main roads are pretty clear now, but you can see some of the side streets are still pretty rough. Folks are digging out along the sidewalks. Some of the snow started melting away today. Of course, as we know, making one wet, slushy mess. And John, of course, it's been pretty dry here, but